Was it smooth sailing from there? Like, how long did it take, and what were the steps in between that got you to decide and commit to HubSpot?
Sure. So you might not be able to see it. I have some gel in my hair and all this, but it added a lot of gray hairs. It added a lot of gray hairs, stress wrinkles and whatnot. I wish I could say something, but like, I'm just going to be honest with you because I like HubSpot, right? As you heard, I was the main advocate for getting it in, and I would love to come on here and say how great it all went. And I really tried to set them up to make it that way too, for my own benefit and for theirs, because I'm the one that advocated for it internally. So I certainly didn't want to go sideways after spending months and months saying how great it was. But it is what it is.
This 30 minutes flew by because there's so many chapters to this story. So first and foremost, thank you for being so open about what these barriers are. Our hope is that the audience that listen to this, which is sales and marketers, learn from this experience and learn that these are totally avoidable things that should have never happened. Okay, that was so good.
The whole series is about exploring how people's buying decision takes place from like the moment something becomes necessary to a final decision.
Especially if you're like, we can do that too. Like, why didn't we know that before? That would be helpful.
I was like, what I wouldn't have given to have this back then.
That's exactly the type of stuff I was hoping to hear out of these interviews. So cool.
This is Buyer Truths, a research project about how tech buyers make decisions and what it means for how you sell.
My name is Jen Allen Knuth from Demand Gen with a J, and I'm here with my partner, Drew Giovanelli from Buried Winds.
All right, we're live.
Could you please introduce yourself and your role so we can get an idea of how you might make decisions?
Yeah, sure. I run marketing at an early stage GRC automation software company called LockThreat. My team is rather small. There's about 4 of us on the team, super early stage. I came on in the very early days, so there was no marketing team yet. So I built the team recently, started bringing on all the MarTech stack as there was nothing there. So it was really like a build from scratch.
And so is it fair to assume there was zero CRM in place when you got there, maybe a spreadsheet?
So actually they had purchased Zoho as a platform. Okay. And used across, because they were using that in product for Jira and whatnot. So the idea was, okay, let's use that for marketing as well.
What motivated you to look for a new solution? And then how did you begin to decide who would be included in that evaluation?
Okay. So some of it was bias because I've used HubSpot everywhere I've been, right? So to be totally fair and transparent, I came in not liking Zoho right from the start just because it wasn't what I was used to, right? But I was directed to give it a shot, see if you can make it work, because we already bought this thing and it's used across the entire org. So let's try it. So I was like, cool, I'm totally down for that, right? So I'm like, let's do it. Let's try to make this thing work. We tried doing it ourselves, okay? Myself and again, a shared resource from our sort of adjacent company, okay? To try to configure this thing to make it work, Zoho. We were tripping up on it. It was super complicated. There was a lot of things missing. Okay. Like it just wasn't intuitive for us to go in and set up just standard marketing dashboards that I've had at every single company that I go to. I have a boilerplate set of dashboard reports that I look at to track our programs. And I'm like, we're not getting there. Let's go hire a contractor who specializes in Zoho and see if they can make this work. We spent money on them. We got maybe at best 40% of the way with that contractor, but we couldn't get that data just replicate and actually build me reports that showed it. Okay, went back. Maybe we moved to HubSpot. There was like an internal struggle again. So believe it or not, we decided to try yet again another Zoho consulting firm. Yeah. Surprisingly, I think we fell into this thing of diminishing returns or throwing good money after bad. And that person got us maybe 60, arguably 70% of what I needed. And we just still weren't there. So we finally said, listen, we got to get off of this thing. Because we were also building our sales team around this. Now, when we got to this stage of it, we were starting to build out the other go-to-market functions. And they were even like, hey, we are not getting the sales dashboards we need. We're also not getting. So now I had allies in my battle of getting off of Zoho and onto HubSpot. And it helped me move that where I needed to move it. So we ended up getting approval, getting
Hold on,
everything
before
in
we go
line
there,
to
can I
switch.
pause you for 1 second?
Yeah,
this
of course.
whole time when you were going through and trying these different consultants that were coming in and helping you,
Yeah.
to what degree was the Zoho team, like if you had an account management team or anyone that you're working with there, were they aware of this? Were they looped in with this? Were they, from an account management perspective?
It's a very good question. If I'm going to be honest, I don't think they were very much involved, and I probably should have escalated myself personally to them, but I didn't. I never really got involved with our customer success at Zoho. It wasn't just marketing and sales. It was actually a decision to move off of that completely.
Wow.
And it was, so there was really nothing there for them to try to latch onto, though I'm sure they tried to probably save it, I would imagine, with whoever was
it's a
person.
fascinating story you're telling, right? Because it started with you
Yep.
coming in as a new senior executive there, you saying,
Right.
all right, I'll mess around with it. I'll see what I can make do with it. But then it turned to a much broader thing of yanking the relationship entirely, which is a really, because like when we talk about buying and selling, there's always somebody we're moving away from. So we want to
Right.
get into what you moved to and why you moved there. But I always think it's interesting to see to what extent did the organization that was currently engaged with you, were they aware and did they realize that this whole contract was at risk? And this is such an interesting story because it started with you, but then it became a trickle down effect where it sounds like the rest of the business sort of walked back and said, is this even the right platform?
You're 100% got it. And now what happened on the Cirrus Lab, I don't know. I have no idea.
Sure.
Okay. I'm worried about like my own world over here, but they very well may have made that work over there at Cirrus Labs, and they might still be full on with Zoho. I have no idea. But I know from LockThreat side where I am, we have very little to no Zoho left on the LockThreat side.
Let's move to your evaluation. Did you know where you're going next? You've mentioned HubSpot already. That is a tool you'd used in the past. Was that where you were going, or did you go through an evaluation of different vendors?
Yeah. So good question. So I was going to try to look it up to find the name. I think it might be Adio.
Okay.
So yeah, at that point in time, we actually had somebody who was at LockThreat. He's no longer here, who was pretty bullish on that solution. I looked at it a bit. Okay. I wasn't convinced. I felt like it was great if you were an early stage and planned on being early stage for a long time. For me, I'm like, we need like real tooling here, right? We need HubSpot. HubSpot's the de facto standard, right? That's just what it is. I think like a little bit frustrating to even spend this much time on it because it's like, guys, we got better things to go do. We need to go find deals. We need to go find logos. I need to spin up paid media, CRM, like HubSpot is what everybody's using. This is what we should use. I don't want to spend a lot of time looking at all these different options.
That is such an interesting point. What if you had to estimate like the amount of time you spent on this, like a time frame?
Insane.
Was this weeks, months?
Insane.
Like what
months.
To
And by the way, it's still not totally done.
You wanted to go. Yeah.
Yeah, still
I
not
think
totally
sellers
done.
don't see that a lot, right? It's like you can hear the way that you talk about HubSpot. You're like, this is the thing. Like I'm willing to entertain the other things. And I think as a seller, I came from the sales side. Sometimes we're naive to think because Rob loves it and Rob rides or dies for this. This is a slam dunk. But all of these internal friction points you're talking about are things that I think a lot of sellers don't get to see. So even though you knew what you wanted, who was the person or role that recommended Adio? Is that in sales? Do you remember where that
he was
from?
running. Yeah, he was running sales for a bit here. Listen, I would have entertained if sales would have came to me and said, we're thinking maybe we should use Salesforce. I would have been open to that. I would have been totally like, okay, let's have a conversation about that. Like, why do you think we need Salesforce? And I would have been totally on board with going down a path of researching why that might make sense for our organization, but nobody ever said that. Maybe it makes sense, and a seller hasn't told me.
This is Buyer Truths, a research project about how tech buyers make decisions and what it means for how you sell. We surveyed 172 software buyers across mid-market and enterprise about real decisions they made in the past year, and all of the data is ungated and free.
My name is Jen Allen Knuth from Demand Gen with a J, and I'm here with my partner, Drew Giovanelli from Buried Wins. After you've learned how buyers make decisions in 2026, let us help you win yours. If you're losing deals to competitors you should beat, Buried Wins will tell you why. They do win-loss interviews with buyers you lost, prospects who never even considered you, and even reach out to the former sellers of your competitors. Learn more at buriedwins.com.
And if you're losing to buyer status quo, Demand Gen will train your team to earn executive attention in outbound, lead status quo busting discovery conversations, and drive consensus with larger buying committees. Check out demandgen.com. There were a lot of friction points to get to HubSpot. Once you decided, or the team was on board to evaluate HubSpot, was it smooth sailing from there? Like, how long did it take, and what were the steps in between that got you to decide and commit to HubSpot?
And can I piggyback one little question on top of that? Did you engage with a sales rep? Did you engage with someone you already knew at HubSpot? If you can go into that too as part of that answer.
Sure. So you might not be able to see it. I have some gel in my hair and all this, but it added a lot of gray hairs. It added a lot of gray hairs, stress wrinkles and whatnot. I wish I could say something that, like, I'm just going to be honest with you because I like HubSpot, right? As you heard, I was the main advocate for getting it in, and I would love to come on here and say how great it all went. And I really tried to set them up to make it that way too, for my own benefit and for theirs, because I'm the one that advocated for it internally. So I certainly didn't want to go sideways after spending months and months saying how great it was. But it is what it is. So I contacted HubSpot directly. I didn't contact a rep that I've worked with in the past over there, because I have never had to work with a rep over there, because it was already in place.
Got it.
So I had to go old school, get actually on their website and like book a demo kind of thing, start from ground zero. The rep was great. I will say this. He was great. He was just a great rep. Like he asked the right questions. In fact, he had the bat channel to me, right? Like we were texting each other. We were calling like, hey, what can I do to make this PO go back faster? How can I get, we were helping each other make this thing work. He was great that way. Where it fell apart was they overpromised. They were like, oh, Zoho, no problem. Like, we'll migrate all that data over. All your fields will come over. The reports that you're asking that you say you want, and these ones you always had, these are just standard reports that come out of the box. And I'm like, okay, they made me feel silly. Like I thought I was asking for these I'm such a sophisticated marketer. I'm asking for these things that are like really, oh, wow. Okay. No, dude, like you're asking for things that are like basically right out of the box. Right. And I'm like, okay, cool. Great. That's fine. But those are what I need. No, that's not going to be a problem. Cool. So we go through the sales cycle was painless. Like it was pretty easy. He was a great rep, as I said, and we made things work. So the sales process was fine. One thing that he suggested was that we don't work with their internal customer success, but that we we use them to augment the partner, essentially. Like you'll have a customer success for host implementation, but they didn't really highly suggest that we use them only for getting this thing implemented. It was like, you're going to need a partner. You're going to need one of our partners, right? And I'm like, cool. All right. Who do you suggest? He gave me a US-based company. He said, this is a great one. This one we use often. You should be in good hands with these guys. They do this all the time. They'll get you all set up. And then this is where it fell apart. This is where it went bad. Yeah, they just weren't, it's bad on multiple fronts. That one, they weren't really listening to our needs. I think they had a cookie cutter kind of approach to this thing, and they were going to roll that, whether we wanted that or not. Which would have been fine if it all worked, but it didn't. Like we were going in there and the reporting wasn't set up. That supposedly really simple out of the box stuff wasn't there. A lot of data fields were incorrect. They had the wrong sources. They had like incorrect, some of it was just missing data that didn't come over. The fields didn't populate correctly. So our pipeline looked all weird. Had the wrong dates and missing fields. So we kept going back and forth with them on this, and they ended up just basically disappearing. They stopped responding to our emails. And by the way, the founder actually he was very aggressive, and I couldn't believe the way he was talking to me. I'm like, I'm your customer. I can't believe he was like criticizing us. And I'm like, really? I'm like, it got heated.
Wow.
It got heated. And all I ever wanted at the end of the day was what I was told at the beginning of all this. We're very boilerplate, out of the box. And I'm be a happy guy, right? I asked for HubSpot. All I want in the end of the day is for these reports. And you're mad and yelling at me because you can't deliver what I've paid you for. I'm like, I paid you for this, and I'm not getting what we asked for.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, how much did this experience with the agency impact your perception of HubSpot, if at all, and your willingness to recommend HubSpot going forward?
Yeah, it did. There's no doubt about it that it had an impact. It definitely had an impact. I've always just loved HubSpot. It's the de facto standard, and I still stick by that. I do stand by that. Still, I absolutely know we made the right decision of bringing in HubSpot. We need it. But here's the deal. Like, they have me stuck that way right now because they are the one. Now there's an opportunity there. If somebody can show me that they have something that's just as good or better, I will be much more likely to take that call. Because I went through HubSpot channels when this stuff started going sideways. I think that HubSpot should be much more close to this, because your question is an important one. This directly impacts how I view them and how I'm not so eager right? Especially this is raw, right? This all just happened and it's not done yet. I'm not that eager to go around and talk about how great HubSpot is, to be quite honest, even though I love their product.
This 30 minutes flew by because there's so many chapters to this story. So first and foremost, thank you for being so open about what these barriers are. Our hope is that the audience that listen to this, which is sales and marketers, learn from this experience and learn that these are totally avoidable things that should have never happened. I think one thing I want to call out, so as part of this buyer truths effort Drew and I have been working on, we did a study and we asked buyers, like, when you knowingly stuck with a tool, a purchase that wasn't as good as something else, like, what was the primary reason why you stayed? So why would you settle for status quo? And the number one answer, 51% of the leaders that responded said it's the implementation. It's exactly the story you just told. I am so fearful of that happening that even though I know you might have a better tool, I stick with a Zoho, or I stick with what we're doing because I don't want to sign up for that mess. So I just think what a beautiful, not a beautiful in the sense that you've been through a lot of hell in the story, but like what a great example of why buyers will look us in the face and say, you do have a better solution, but we're going to stay with this, because that is months of your time. That is frustrating conversation after frustrating conversation. And then onboarding different agencies, getting them to understand your business, that's all sunk time that you don't get back. So thank you. I think this will be such a helpful story for others to hear. And our hope is by sharing this stuff, sellers can learn from it and step in where needed.
Sure.
So
happy to do it anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Yeah, thank you,
welcome.
Rob. Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Pardon the interruption, but if there's one cause I love even more than helping sellers win, it's helping rescue dogs like Chungus find a home. Many Paws Global Rescue is located in Palatine, Illinois, and takes in rescue dogs of all shapes, even as thick as this, and sizes. If you're looking for a new pup to sit under your desk and help you win deals, visit manypawsglobalrescue.org.